Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Welcome along to episode 606 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show, we've got a bit of a Wolves Literature Festival special, as we'll be joined by Dave Pitt, one of the poets, prattlers and pandemonialists who have got their poetry slam. Now that all takes place before the main festival itself. It's happening on the 6th of February. The festival runs from the 12th through to the 14th, and there's loads going on. So we'll hear from Dave. We'll also be talking to Ian Henery about the event from Cates Hill Press, which launches as the 3 books and 3 authors. But in addition to that, they've got a fundraiser, which he'll be letting us know all about. And we'll be reminiscing about the Kidderminster Market Tavern, home of indie music between 1990 and 1996. We've got Mark Badgerman letting us know about the book that he's produced alongside Andrew Wolfman, and the event itself with some brilliant guests who'll be talking all about the times and some of the fantastic music that was there. Plus, in addition to that, Paul Ryder joining us again from LGBT plus Sparkle, because he's been working with a group who are making sure that the police have a greater understanding of the needs of the trans community and the way in which we should communicate with and talk to a wider range of people in a way in which they find appropriate for them. That's all coming up on the show this week. As a precursor to the Wolverhampton Literature Festival, the poets, prattlers and pandemonialists, I think I've got that right, are doing a thing. Dave Pitt is one of their number and joins me now. Hello.
Hello, mate. You're right.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You got the name right. I mean, well done.
I think that's a first, isn't it? For anybody other than the poets, prattlers and pandemonialists. So, you know, you get it right, but the rest of us, we struggle. But it's the 6th of February sees your event, which is it's a part of the big build-up to the Literature Festival this year, and you are online, as is everything else.
Yes. Like a global pandemic was going to stop Wolves Lit Fest happening.
Yeah, you know.
We can fight through such things. Yes, we always do this we always do this poetry slam before the Lit Fest. It's always in that week before, and it's a great little start. It's always been a wonderful event. We usually sell out the Arena Theatre. Of course, we can't do that this year, which is an awful shame. And I think everyone taking part in the Poetry Slam, be that us, other poets, or even the audience, are just really missing live gigs.
Yeah, so they slammers and slammies, is that the correct term?
Let's say that's correct.
Okay. but the thing, I mean, it's normally so popular, I can't even blag tickets to it. But this time round, I might even be able to blag my way into the gig.
You may be able to, yeah. I suppose you want me to tell people what it's about.
Well, that'd be good. I mean, for those who haven't experienced such a thing, it's kind of poetry at a high speed.
It is, yes. So we basically bring 15 poets together into a virtual room this year round. And they've got 3 minutes to impress you. And then we whittle them down until there's 3 left in the final. And then the winner is crowned Wolverhampton Literature Festival Poetry Slam Champion 2021. It's absolutely insane. It's so fast and lively. You've got no idea what's coming next because the acts have only got 3 minutes. You'll get someone come up and they'll do 3 minutes and it'll be really heartfelt and meaningful and you'll be wiping the salt from your eyes. And then the next person will get up and just do something that's completely silly. And you're pulled from pillar to post. And it's such a wonderful event. And we find that poetry slams, because we do a lot of poetry slams now, but we find that they're a great way for people to get into poetry. Because I think a lot of people's experiences of poetry have been dead white people taught to them by school teachers who didn't really like it themselves.
Well, it's either that or they get it in a birthday card and they really just look for the money.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And these poetry slams are just a great way for people who think it's not for them to realise, oh, actually, this is really, really good. And they're always great events. There's always a lot of fun. There's always a lot of laughs. So, yeah.
And a judging panel who get to guide the audience's opinion of these things too.
Yes, we kind of... Well, Emma Pursehouse kind of... Usually what happens at the arena is she goes into the crowd before, as they're all milling around outside, wrestles 5 people to the ground and says, "You're a judge," and they go, "Okay." And they judge them. They judge the acts on performance, writing, delivery, that sort of thing. Because it's virtual, it means you won't be wrestling anybody to the ground this year. But I suspect she'll be crawling through people's webcams like the woman out of The Ring. But yes, we have a judging panel. And although that sounds kind of nasty, we do have people who are like, "Can I be a judge? Can I be a judge?"
To whom you probably say no, don't you? You want judges who don't want to be judges.
Yeah, yes, it's that kind of thing, isn't it? If you want to do it, you're the wrong person for the job. Douglas Adams, isn't it? That
is a quote on presidencies, and I think that stands true with most politicians on either side, even today. But there we are. So. Yeah, It's going to be big. It's going to be good. It's going to be a slam of poetry. You won't know quite what's hit you, but though you will enjoy it. And it is something which is like, this is potentially, as it's online, going to be a further taster for people who haven't even got anywhere near thinking about doing this before.
Oh, definitely. And you've got to try and pull positives out of what's going on in the world at the minute. And we have moved a lot of we've moved all of our events online because we've had to.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you realise that, whereas before we could only get a headliner who could travel to the Midlands on a Sunday night or whatever, now we could get a headliner who's in, the far-flung reaches of northern Scotland if you wanted to.
You're struggling to think of anywhere outside of Wolverhampton, aren't you?
You
are very Wolverhampton-centric. There are other places too.
There are.
But the best poets are in Wolverhampton.
Yeah, yes. But also the audience can come in from outside as well. And I think that's really important, that people realise just how vibrant the scene is in this area.
Yeah.
And we need to celebrate that more as well, because we've got some amazing talent in this area. And, if you're not on the telly, no one seems to know who you are. So, trying to grab a positive from this is the fact that we're now starting to pull people in as audience members from outside the area. Who we go, that Wolverhampton, they've got some talented folk down there, haven't they?
And you are one of the stars of the city. We know that. We know that from everything you do, from things you put on at the arena and the work that you've done, the playwriting, the books. I mean, your skills know no beginning nor no end.
Shucks.
It is amazing. But I mean, tell us a bit about the rest of the team as well, because you've name dropped Emma Pursehouse because she's a star too.
Yeah. So Poets, Pratters and Pandemonium. This is me, Emma Pursehouse, and Steve Pottinger.
Because Steve hasn't done well in your description so far. We wouldn't have known he was there. I mean, what's going on?
Steve's the responsible adult. Steve's the one who keeps me and Emma on track. Because if it was just me and Emma, who knows what could happen? So yeah, he's kind of the surround around the hand grenade that just keeps it all in place and stops it exploding. Yeah, we've all done performance for years, really. Emma and Steve are, I don't know, I think they're about 75 years old each. They're really getting on. But we all came together purely because our surname started with a P.
That's the thing. Okay, the beauty in the art and the way in which life is reflected through surnames.
You know what I mean? And we all found that we got on, and we all enjoyed what we each did. And I always say one of the great things about being in this little troupe, if one of us is feeling a bit down, the other two give them a kick up the backside and keep them moving. But also, you know what? When I get to do a show with them two, I've got the best seat in the house, man. You know what I mean? and the amount of times we've gone round, and whether it's been a slam or whether it's been one of our shows, and I just get to see them two perform, and I'm sitting like 2 yards away from them, just thinking, they know me. They know who I am. They've got my phone number in their phone. And look at them, they're amazing.
Well, it is going to be a truly awesome event. It is the 6th of February. Give us the rest of the details on how we get tickets, etc., etc., etc.
I want to say wolvesliteratureFestival.co.uk.
You would be right in saying Wolves Literature Festival. I think I'm just going to look. This is the point where you should pick your phone up, look online, and go, yeah, wolvesliteratureFestival.co.uk. It's definitely there. I googled it earlier. So that's the web address sorted. And you've got to look for.
It's all online. It's on the 6th of February.
Yeah.
It's at 7:30. It'll last about 2.5 hours. Prices are £7 plus booking fee.
Simple as that. And at wolvesliteratureFestival.co.uk is that aforementioned website. And give us some socials and things so we can find out what we're going to let ourselves in for first.
Pandemonium Lists. You'll find us on Twitter at Pandemonium Lists. We're on Facebook as well, but I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know what the Facebook thing is. Emma and Steve look after the Facebook. You'll find me, Emma and Steve all on the socials as well.
Dave the Pitt is what you're looking for.
Dave the Pitt, Emma Pursehouse, and Big Steve Poet.
There we go.
On Twitter. And also check out the Literature Festival because there's some other amazing events going on there as well. It's
going to be an awesome weekend. The Literature Festival itself takes place from the 12th through to the 14th of February. This is a precursor on the 6th. You have to be there. It's not actually, you're not barred from anything else if you don't do this one, but you do have to be there, don't you?
That's only because they wouldn't let us put that rule in the book.
That's the way it's going to be.
We'll try again next year.
We will force poetry on you.
You can't see John Ronson unless you come to the poetry slam.
It's going to be amazing. I know that. Dave, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to more of your wonderful work as we head through 2021.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Anytime.
On Saturday, the 13th of February, as part of the Wolverhampton Literature Festival, Cates Hill Press are showcasing some of their talent. One of those in that event is Ian Henery, who joins me now. Hello, sir.
Hi, Jason. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
Absolutely a joy to speak to you, as ever. And you've got this event which Cates Hill Press are doing massive work towards. And you're one of a number of performers, and you're bringing some poetry to life that evening.
That's right. It's from a collection called Poems of Hope. It's my 5th collection, published by Cates Hill Press. The other authors showcased by Cates Hill Press is Greg Stokes and Sean Patrick Hand. And we've got some brilliant artwork by a Wolverhampton freelance artist called Jason Fullwood. His professional name is JLF, and that's inspired on COVID-19 because he's had COVID-19 and he wants to reach out to people in Wolverhampton who have had COVID-19. These are strange times.
Absolutely, and for the fact that the Literary Festival is online this year, it makes it a little peculiar and different, but equally it makes it a lot more accessible. And with what Cates Hill Press are doing as well, I know you've just launched a fundraiser surrounding the whole event as well to do some great work for charity too.
That's right. It's inspired by the memory of Stephen Sutton. Mm-hmm. I say a local lad. He was just up the road in Burntwood. But he did a blog called Stephen's Story for the Teenage Cancer Trust. And one of the poems in my book is dedicated to his memory. He was only 19 when he died of cancer. And at his funeral in Lichfield Cathedral, 10,000 people turned up. Very inspirational. And the poem is based upon some poetry workshops that I did as a scout leader with scouts to explore Stephen's story and to fundraise for the Teenage Cancer Trust. Because I'll tell you what, Jason, I cannot imagine how a parent would feel to hear those words, your child has cancer. So we've got a Just Giving page where we're asking people to donate to the Teenage Cancer Trust.
It's an opportunity to not only attend the event, but also to support the charity through the work that you and Cates Hill Press are doing. And how do we find that link online?
The link online is Cates Hill Press Just Giving page Teenage Cancer Trust.
So Google all of that lot, you will find it. And of course, Cateshill Press will have links to that on both their socials and of course on their website too. And this is it's all over your social media, I know that much. And this is part of a marking of this poetry, looking at difficult times for a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. And through the words that will come to life on this event, I mean, you're hopefully going to reach a few people and make them feel that it's not just them. It is a shared experience, even though it's not one we would choose to go through.
Absolutely, Jason. Bang on.
So once again, give us the details on your event and where people can find you.
It's the Cateshill Press launch, Wolverhampton Literature Festival. It's all online. And if you want to support the work that we're doing for the Teenage Cancer Trust, it's the Just Giving page. Thank you, Jason.
So check all that out. wolvesliteraturefestival.co.uk. You can find all the links on there to all the events taking place. It's a brilliant weekend, starting on the Friday night, running through to Sunday. And there are so many events. This is one you will want to get to. You want to get to all of them. It's not physically possible, but you're going to have to choose your favourites. This one do some brilliant work and some fantastic poetry. And Ian, just remind us where we can find your book and get the total details on all of that.
Cateshill Press, all the W's, Cateshill Press, all one word.com.
So Kateshill Press. And you can be enjoying some poetry, having thoughtful, meaningful moments, and really getting... I think something back. I think poetry is a great way of giving back, isn't it?
It is. It's been so enormously important for people in lockdown because we can't go to open mic gigs. We can't stand up in the pubs where the musicians have just played, but we can reach out to people on Zoom platforms, Facebook, WebEx, and connect. This is the biggest pandemic our generation have ever faced, and it's impacted upon everyone's mental health.
Yeah, so it's a time for us to get together as in the ways that we can now and make a difference with that.
Yes, that's right.
Well, Ian Henery, once again, thank you for joining us and keep up the good work and keep that pen working.
Thank you, Jason. You take care and stay safe.
On Saturday, the 13th of February, as part of the Wolves Literature Festival, memories of the Kidderminster Market Tavern will be shared. This all ties in with a fantastic book. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Mark Badgerman, who's been working alongside Andrew Wolfe. Hello.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm good, and I trust we find you well and ready for an exciting talk.
Yeah, we're really excited for it actually, because we're going to kind of do it chat show style. We've got some guests coming in, and so we're going to try and make a big effort on this and have a bit of fun and talk about the old days and how life was so much better in the early 90s than it is now.
Yeah, because I mean, you're looking at a time from 1990 through 1996 and some amazing bands that went through the doors onto the sometimes stage of the Tavern. And how did the venue itself come to be? Because it had an interesting history, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as a building, it had been there since about 1959. And through the 80s, when I was a kid, local bands played there. Occasionally you get a band from Birmingham come down or something like that. But it was just a pub with a function room. And then I was putting on some gigs in a cellar bar with my friend's band, who I was ostensibly managing, but as kids, not managing that we would know today. We did one at the Market Tavern. Had a little bit of an incident with a local skinhead who turned out glassed himself, and it ended up with me being banned from the building. So when the landlord had left and the new one came in, because it had a really, really, really good room, and I'd been doing a few gigs, I thought I'm going to go and see this guy and see if if I can put some shows on. And I just turned up, asked the question, "Are you turning this into a venue? This is what people are saying." And he said, "No, not really." I said, "Well, I put on big bands and I want to have a go and do this." And he said, "Oh, great, go on then." So I went home and thought, well, I don't really put on big bands. I put on my mates' bands. So I absolutely pestered to death Carter the Unstoppable Sex Machine, because it was the only band I had any way of getting hold of. And eventually they agreed to do a show. So from there, it actually turned into a proper music venue. We put a sort of decent sized stage in, painted it black, and all of this kind of stuff. So that was the catalyst from turning it from a function room at the back of a pub into a proper live music venue. And then, of course, through the early 90s, anyone who was reading the gig guide in the back of the Sounds and Melody Maker and stuff like that, they would know the Market Tavern because a lot of bands came through and played there.
Yeah, well, as a regular Sound reader, I had seen that there myself, and this is a time when I was growing up in music as well. We must be pretty much about the same sort of age, and I mean, I know that you were mates with Neds at the time, which is where your Badgerman name comes from, having read some of the book itself, and it was through all of these links that they say Carter played, and they played 3 times, and that was a venue that they loved. And one of the nice things about this book, you've got some great memories from people who were there at the time. Some fantastic artwork showing the sort of indie. I mean, it was the heart of indie in Kiddie, wasn't it? This is where indie bands came to really show their stuff. And then, of course, on top of that, you've got some great write-ups from the likes of Carter about what they have thought they've seen, and the way the venue helped them in their careers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the book was an interesting thing because I'd actually done a little bit of family history, written it up, and I thought I'll print this out as a book, and I got it done at a little place, and it came back as a book. Oh, that's nice. And then I realised, the 30th anniversary of the Carter date is coming up. Maybe I can do a book about the Market Tavern, and maybe it's going to be a PDF only thing, and I'll distribute it to, the sort of 20 or 30 people I know who would be interested. And there was an active Facebook group, and I thought, well, a lot of the memories are already written down here. So I floated the idea on there, and I managed to put the whole thing together in about 8 weeks, start to finish. But those memories from the people that were there, they just came flooding in, because it meant so much to them. So they didn't have to dig too deep to remember, their times from when they went to the gigs there. And then, of course, people like Carter, they definitely can remember their shows there. I did find with some of the artists that where we had great shows that actually they couldn't remember it. And at first I thought that was a little bit weird. But then the more I thought about it, I thought, whilst we might have had some great shows with, for example, Back to the Planet, for them, that was just, another 2 sold out shows out of, hundreds and hundreds that they did. So they couldn't remember it. But the memories from the people who went, very vivid. And it made putting the book together very easy. And I think in doing so, it really tells the story without me having to tell it myself and putting my spin on it. I think so many people contributed that when you look at the book, you really get a feel, not just for the Market Tavern and what that place was like, but just any small venue in the early 90s that did indie bands. It paints the picture of all of them, I think.
Yeah, and I think the whole scene itself recreated the energy of the 60s that brought rock and roll music into the world of pop and the likes, and created a world of accessibility to artists and performers. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I also like the way in the book, there's no rose-tinted spectacles here. This is really what it was like, even down to someone saying, Frank Sidebottom wasn't my thing, but it was a gig and it was a great gig, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely, And I mean, at the time when I did it, for me, it was just, I packed my job in as a printer. I got this fanciful idea of, wanting to be in the music industry and stuff. And so I was just putting these gigs on and just winging it and getting away with it. But I didn't know at the time quite what it meant to people that were coming, and that they would still, hold on to those memories all these years later. But it had a funny kind of feel to it. It wasn't just a gig where you just turned up if you liked the band, and if you didn't, you kind of stayed away. It had a kind of anarchic social club kind of vibe to it. So people felt very attached to it, and they felt very at home there. And I think, that example you just gave of someone who just, turned up to a show because it was on and it's something to do, is definitely one of the things that was happening. And probably the best example of that was the show in Red Cross which is a sort of an American cult punk band, and they'd put out a record that had they'd changed a little bit more towards power pop, an album called Third Eye. And I loved that record. I loved it. But if I'd have booked that band, nobody would have come. No one knew who they were. So I did a thing whereby I got all the old demo tapes that the local bands had sent in. And invariably they were a C30, 30-minute tape, or maybe even a C15. And I taped over them all with the Red Cross album, and I just gave them away to people because I knew that people were quite happy to come and check out a new band. And I thought, if they just hear a few songs from this band, that they'll come. And they did a little bit of guerrilla marketing along those lines, and that was a great gig. And they didn't understand what was happening there, because afterwards they said, how come so many people know the first 3 songs off the album? Lots of people seem to know the entire of the first side, but when we played stuff off the second side of the album, it didn't go down quite as well. I'm going to have to own up here and tell them what I've done, but it was a great gig, and that really worked. And I don't think you could have done that at many other places. I think it's only the connection that people felt to the venue and that they were willing and open to try something new that one worked.
Well, there'll be more memories and there'll be guests looking at all of this as part of the event on the 13th of February. It is a Saturday night, and I think it would help if people have read as much of the book as they can, and maybe even enjoyed the playlist of some of those bands that you have out there before. And so where do people find this before we give them details on how to get in touch on the event?
Technically, the book is sold out, but I'm going to do another print run because it's just done really well. So I think off the back of our appearance at the Literary Festival, we're going to get a few more printed. So if people go to Bandcamp and search for Kidderminster Market Tavern, that's where they'll find the book, or they can find the Kidderminster Market Tavern group on Facebook, and there's links there. But I'm going to put the book back on sale, so if people want to get the book, they can go over there and just click the link and get themselves a copy.
Get it pre-ordered, and before you know it, you can hold in your hands this fantastic, beautifully produced book with some wonderful memories. And you never know, there may well be a second edition at some point as more people come forward following all of this. The event itself is part of the Wolves Literature Festival, wolvesliteratureFestival.co.uk. Just look for the events on the Saturday night, the 13th, and check out what's going on with the Market Tavern in Kidderminster's. So it's kind of an online revival and a chance for everyone to get together. And who knows, these guests are going to be a treat too. So we're very much looking forward to the outcome of your get-together. As I say, I'm hoping it means more memories and more publishing. Meanwhile, though, if you live in one of the flats that are now on the site, maybe you can join in and maybe share some memories of the ghosts which you're hoping will haunt them. But for now, Mark Badgerman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
Tell us more about a recent initiative that's been helped to be coordinated by LGBT plus Sparkle. I'm joined by Paul Ryder from their group, and also Zenlita, who has been talking to the local police force about making sure we get trans awareness. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
So first of all, Paul, tell me how this came about.
Basically, it was a couple of months ago. I was emailed saying, "Good afternoon, Paul and Marcus. I've been given you details by a colleague who said you might be able to assist." Because I was looking for someone from the trans community to give them a better understanding how they can serve the trans community in the police force. So then I thought of the lovely Zenlita, and then it just went from there.
So, Zenlita, obviously, when it comes down to understanding the issues across all communities, the trans community has very much been forced into the background in the past. And it is good that we're now living in an environment where hopefully people can go out and be themselves in much more of a way than they have previously been able to. But still there are challenges, aren't there?
There are a number of challenges, yeah. Especially with the media and things, the way we're portrayed and the perception of trans people sometimes. So, like I say, I'm involved with a number of trans groups. I'm in part of a committee on Trans Forum Manchester. So we're a set up a charitable self-help group. So we just support and help all trans people.
so they can come along and talk, get some advice, just meet other trans and socialise and things like that. So, and part of the job we do is try and train people and talk to people about the way to talk to us, the way to speak to us, and especially so with the police, because a lot of people have fears about the police, especially in the trans community.
We would hope that as a society we can be understanding of people's different backgrounds, and being trans is no different to being any other type of background, type of person that is different from what is considered to be the norm. And it's in itself getting to the point where you're able to openly admit you're trans because of the attitudes that are there. It takes a huge amount of courage. Then to have that knocked back by someone in authority must be absolutely devastating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of time, we get asked, "Oh, why do you choose to be trans?" Well, it's not a choice, really. It's you feel you're that way from a very early age for most of us. So it's not like you're doing the choices. I think the choice is I chose to live as a man rather than be myself and live as female, which I believe I am, and I feel I am. So, and it is very, very hard. It's not an easy choice. You come in for a lot of stick. You come in for a lot of abuse and that. So why would you choose to put yourself out there and put up with that if you didn't feel it was right for you?
And because of the physical attributes of the body that you were born into and not the way in which your mind works, again, it can make people sometimes stand out, and it's ensuring that we behave in the correct way and we understand that somebody's background isn't necessarily what we see in front of us.
Absolutely, yeah. The other thing as well is people seem to think that by being trans, your sexuality is different. Well, they're not the same. Being trans is about, like you say, it's about the chosen gender or the gender you are, and that, as opposed to a sexuality. Just because I'm trans, it doesn't mean I'm a lesbian or I'm a gay or anything else. I'm still heterosexual. So my sexuality and my trans life, or the way I choose to express my gender, are different issues.
And how well received was the talk that you were able to give?
I've had a few negative things over the years. I mean, I've been trans now for 7 years fully. I live fully as female in my life all the time. And from most professionals, I don't have a problem at all. Whether it's dealing with the police, doctors, hospitals, or social workers, mental health team, because I have a mental health team. And all these things, that I think most of it comes from ignorance within the public.
And the approach that some people take isn't one of care and understanding. It's almost as if it could be causing them to question their own thoughts, which sometimes causes a negative reaction.
Yes. I think I believe in some respects that some people fear it for the wrong reasons, and also some people like to show off to their mates and things like that, and so they think by having a go at us it makes them a bigger person, a man, and all this sort of thing, and secretly a lot of them are hiding it. They may feel they're that themselves, and so they attack what they feel or fear they are. So I mean, I've met some people from school that I used to know. You're talking 40 odd years ago now since I last went to school, and it's coming out now. And there's more and more people my age that are actually coming out as trans because they've tried to hide it and tried to avoid it for years.
Equally as well, I suppose, there is more life experience as well, which allows them to realise who they are and whether they don't want to be pigeonholed as someone they're not.
Yeah, it's a hard life, and for a lot of people, I think coming out and admitting you're trans is very, very difficult. The biggest problem for most of us is you tend to lose a lot of your family and your friends and that. And for a lot of people, that can be too much at times. And so they fear that and worry about it. And so they never really get to be themselves.
I know, Paul, I know that the work that you've been doing through LGBT plus Sparkle, it's again about bringing communities together, and with Zenlita here and all the other people that you work with on a regular basis. It's about understanding and acceptance, because everyone is the same deep down.
Zenlita did speak to our group before the police contacted us about her story coming out trans, and that's how we met, through Jenny Ann's group, Unique. Am I correct then?
Yes, it's unique. Is a Transform group, the same as in the Transform Manchester in North Wales.
A lot of groups coming together, having a conversation which puts things into the right place, the right perspective, and really it's encouraging people to live to be who they are, and hopefully we can do this without barriers, and through the sort of talk that you've already given, it'll hopefully bring people together and give greater understanding.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was asked by Paul. He got contacted by the police in the Midlands area, saying they're doing a lot of diversity training and a lot of various other trainings, and they're trying to look at different issues and that. And so they asked Paul if he knew someone who could talk about trans issues in the community and that. So he asked me to do it. It's part of our group. We do that. We go into hospitals, prisons and various other establishments, working with people, doing diversity training, so that when they do come across trans people, they know how to talk to us, they know the sort of questions and not to ask. And it was really interesting chat piece. I think there was about like 20 odd members that came on to the meeting, and basically I just gave them a background about who I am, where I come from and how I got to be me. And I know they've done other training. They've just done one recently. We're talking about cot deaths and infant deaths and things like that. So it just helps people. So when they go out into the community and they need to talk to these people, they know what to say, what questions not to say as well, because sometimes it becomes quite upsetting.
Absolutely. So making sure that they're using the right language, the right understanding for areas that they themselves haven't experienced and haven't been through. Zenlita, where can we go to find out more about your group?
We're on if you go on the internet, any website and that, like I say, and you type in trans, we will come up. It's called Trans Manchester, the Manchester one, and it don't have to be from Manchester. You can be from anywhere. And the other one is Unique in Wales, North Wales. And if you type it in, you'll probably come across a person called Jenny Ann Bishop, who has an OBE for all the work that she's done on these trans groups and with the Welsh Government in setting up the Welsh gender clinics and various things. We have Zoom meetings every Thursday evening from 8 o'clock, and we have one every Saturday from 3:30. Anyone who has any kind of gender issues or not sure or supports someone who has gender issues, whether you're a social worker, a carer and that, you're more than welcome to come along and join in and ask questions if you're not sure, and you'll get all the answers you need from either one of us who runs the group or other trans people that have experienced those problems.
And Paul, of course, LGBT plus Sparkle's ongoing regular meetings, Mondays and Thursdays. How do we find you?
You type in LGBT Sparkle Wolverhampton, you'll find us on Facebook. We have our social group on a Monday, 2 till 4, and on a Thursday, 2 to 3:30, and everyone's welcome to join.
Well, thank you both for joining us, and keep up the good work that you're doing within the communities.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Well, that's all for this week. Thank you so much for joining us back next week. I'll see you then.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar.